I call this meeting to order. This is the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone number 1. Tuesday, January 14th. It's 3:35 p.m. We are at City Hall Council Chambers. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Martinez, would you help us with roll call?
Yes. So, Mr. Justin Heather,
Present.
Mrs. Esparza,
Present.
Francisco Mata, he did ask to be excused.
Yes, he's going to try to be here, but it didn't seem like it was going to be possible, but he's going to try to.
Okay. Ms. Vanessa Guerra,
Present.
Mr. Jose Ceballos,
Here.
Mr. Wilfredo Martinez.
He asked to be excused today, and so did Mr. Caballero.
Okay. Chairman, you do have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for everybody that's here, board, city staff, and our extended team, our consultants. Thank you very much for making today's meeting. We do have a number of updates that we're going to get through, and then a few action items. I think the updates are going to have some discussion. I was hoping to have some admin conversation with the board, which will probably get postponed until we actually have a full board in terms of capacity building, item H on the presentation side, but we'll get to those. Citizens' comments, I don't have any cards here. I don't think is anybody here to speak, make public comments? No. Okay. And I'll just read that for the record. Citizens' comments are required to be filled, citizens are required to fill out a witness card no later than 3:45 p.m. and can be found at here on site location. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any side of an issue. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comments should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted. All right, having read that, we'll go on to item 5, approval of minutes for December 10th, 2024.
Motion to approve?
It's been moved by Ms. Guerra to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Heather. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None. Motion passes. Thank you. Presentation, discussion only items, standings, updates on a variety of items. Well, we're going to start with Zaragoza Street public improvements. I'm going to ask Andrea with KCI to come up and lead us in the conversation.
Okay, you have one already?
It's the same.
Okay. Yeah.
This item will come up for action in the action item, so I think ultimately we'll deal with that action after the presentation, but we can cover some details.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Andrea de Anda with KCI. Edward couldn't be here today, but if you have any questions that I can't answer, I will pass them over to him. So for Zaragoza, we have substantially completed the project. As you can see, this is a view from Convent towards Zaragoza. And you can see we've completed the bollards, the ramp, and the landscaping along that area. The bricks have also been installed in that area. I believe last time they hadn't been installed yet. This is a view from the south side of Zaragoza. As you can see, we've installed most of the landscaping. They are missing the mulch in that area and some of the xeriscape by those steps. And this is a view in front of the perfumes where we have the disappearing steps along with the 2 trees and the bricks on the top of this area. Stop me if you have any questions, please. This is the area in front of Huerta where we did include a planter, and this is the xeriscape that you see by those steps as well. They have also installed all these bricks, and we're still pending the AP power poles. There's another view of the two trees and the step that was already included. The handrails have also been installed. We are missing the brick veneers and the stone cap that will go on top. We are still coordinating the stone cap, and we don't want to place the stone cap. We don't want to place the brick veneers until the stone cap has arrived, so it doesn't look incomplete.
Did the samples make it by any
They
chance?
didn't
No.
yet. They
So
should
they're-
arrive today. I'll go drop them off at your office tomorrow.
All
when
right.
they arrive. This is another view of the ramp that was already included in the plans, and a view from Salinas looking towards Convent on Zaragoza. These are the bollards that were included in the intersection of Convent and Zaragoza, where we included the ramp and brakes on the south side of Zaragoza, like as if you're looking towards Mexico. This is Convent on Zaragoza, which is block 2. We did replace these bollards, and we did add all this brick in front of that area. These are the junipers that were added in this landscaping area, along with the electrical riser that has already been installed. We are pending the meters from AEP, which is also taking place through coordination with them. This is a view as the pedestrian is exit through the bridge. We did add 4 trees in this area, and these power poles are part of the AEP power pole replacement that will take place later on. This is also block 2, looking on Zaragoza from Flores. These were replaced, and this is part of the area that was also removed and repaired of the brick pavers that we noticed had some damages from the church's truck that would come in and out. And this is block 11, where the IT monument will be placed eventually. All the civil part of this has been completed, which was replacing these bricks, the handrails towards the office, and the electrical riser has also been installed as well. That's all for us as in the updates for the street.
You have comments, or I just want to cover a few details for the record. There's a folder there on the desktop. If you, it says TIRZ. There's a few details that need work, and I want to make sure before we accept the project. I don't know that it's going to get back to me to fully accept it, so I want to cover them. You've covered a lot of these. You can just, there's some that have names on,
Oh,
or like notes on the file name.
on the what?
The file name has like a,
Oh, yeah, there's boxes, that one, those?
Yeah.
Okay.
so this is gonna be probably a punch list item throughout. That electrical box is not really pedestrian rated. There are other electrical boxes that were used that were like a concrete polymer. We probably need to address that. I don't know if it was spec'd out that way or not.
We can check with our electrical in that. I know tomorrow we have a pre-final walkthrough, and we can include this as one of our punch items.
Okay, and you can just, it's probably easier to just go, this area, unfortunately, last meeting I brought it up and said maybe we could do it on future jobs, that it really needs attention already. So I think we need to come up with a detail to make it a little less problematic down the road. You can see one of the irrigation boxes already, below grade. So what I mentioned to Rick yesterday when we walked is placing rectangular boxes and even those water meter boxes that are kind of longer instead of round helps I guess the surface stay as level as possible. But the issue over there is that we have a ton of irrigation. I think condensing them as best as we can with a larger underground box is going to make it easier for everybody down the road, and not have the city departments have to go back and fix it. You can just keep going. You covered the mulch, so that was one of my items. There's that other box. Go ahead. so we covered this detail ahead of it being installed, and the way that that railing's installed on the brick is not gonna last. So there's a concealed detail that I think Rick is gonna provide or has provided. I think you guys gave the contractor direction, Rick, on it, but anyway, so you just kind of cover it, when you get to that tomorrow. I just wanna make sure the board is aware before everybody assumes that everything's been done. Keep it going, just keep going. So that railing's kind of in the way of the ADA path, and there's a resolution that Rick is gonna mention, to you guys. Keep going. Same thing here. It's really a concealed placement of the base for those railings. Keep going. There's not much more, same deal there. There's just one other photo on the ADA route, on Convent, that one. It's gonna have to be addressed. That's the ramp up, and right there, it's already a problem. And you can see how the rectangular boxes just work much better. And I really think the polymer should be our standard. If we're creating a design standard, it really should be that. The rest are really shots that I think you already illustrated. The same shot. The other piece is just, that's the last picture, so that's just for my purposes. So that, the bollards, they don't seem quite as obvious as I thought they would be about how to remove them, because we tried to do that yesterday and try to figure that out. It may be good to get the contractor to train the city folks,
Okay.
to make sure, and the fire department, just not assume that they know how it comes out.
Okay,
Because
they
we
did-
kind of messed with them yesterday, and it's not really that obvious. It appeared to be, but not really when we actually tried to do something with it.
Did you use the rod that needed to be used?
We did.
Okay, so that was something that we did discuss with the fire department, but it was, I believe, a 30-inch rod that they would have to basically insert in the bottom to be able to twist, so that someone that's just like a pedestrian walking around wouldn't be able to just take them. So they do kind of have a locking mechanism, but anyone with that rod would be able to do it, but I will definitely let Edward know about that.
So maybe even like the fire department wants to have a set of those rods somewhere, so that they're not at, the middle of something trying to get through and not be able to lift them. But those are, in general, my comments for the board. The last item is the landscaping, which we covered last time. I really think, and I asked Rick yesterday to see if they could get their landscape consultant to come down and really swap what we have in place, because those trees are gonna be a problem right away. And I think we could use those trees somewhere else, but maybe get the consultant to help us select the proper trees. Honestly, I think those trees are undersized. I see it allude in the back there. I think those don't meet the 4-inch. If you ask me, most of those are not gonna meet it, but I don't wanna go back and forth with the contractor. If y'all think it's not worth it, we could probably put those trees to use somewhere else. But they are way below 4-inch. Some of them are way below. And I think some of them could stay, but most of them are probably gonna be an issue pretty quick. So other than like leave it for the future, let's just go ahead and whichever of the board wants to be part of that meeting with the landscape architect, if we need to post that meeting, y'all can attend and share your thoughts and provide your input, or receive feedback from that person when they come in. So I think that'll be arranged like in a week or.
Yeah, so Rick Solis with Able City, we did speak with her prior to this meeting. Given the weather situation next week, because they're having travel from San Antonio, it could be next week or it could be the week after. They're going to get back with us, to tell us how much time they have and, to get, obviously, for their time, get a cost for their time. But we explained to them what the situation was, and they were very much excited to come help us and walk it with us.
Great. I had one question for Tina or for engineering, which probably either you could help answer it. like, is there a de minimis sole source, or maybe you can answer it too, sole source, when you get one bid, like if we wanted to do a landscape package, that's, as opposed to putting out soliciting bids, is there a process for us to get one bid? Is there a de minimis amount? Or you get 3 bids all the time?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
No, I mean, the only way you wouldn't be able to ask for 3 bids is if it's something under $1,000, $2,000.
Okay, that's small. So this, we get 3 bids on the, once we get the package, the landscape package, then we put it out and get bids,
Yes.
right? Okay. I was wondering if it was like a higher threshold, then we can just go straight to, you know, a landscape company and have them, you know, provide a price. But if it's 1,000, it's gonna be over that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, in the future, you could do a request for qualifications and have a list, the board can approve a list of landscapers, and then that list would be your source of vendors
For future work.
for future work.
It's a good idea. Okay.
Mr. Chavez has something.
Yeah, Mr. Chavez. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. Ramon Chavez, Assistant City Manager, City Engineer. I just wanted to mention that we do have already a landscape architect on rotation if that's ever needed. So we can always tap into that. We'd have to, of course, provide a scope and that type of thing, and we'll get into those. But we do have a landscape architect on rotation. I can remember the.
What about a
firm's
supplier,
name, but-
a landscape supplier, like?
No, only landscape, only professional services.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on the report? Okay, I think overall, the walkability, invited Juan Medina with the MPO, or one of our future funding sources, to kind of give us his feedback yesterday. So I think we agree it's a big drastic change for that area, very walkable. The brick will really really gonna make it really stand out. I think everybody's gonna be happy with that product. It really, I think the design really played a big part in opening up that space. The other thing it did on the street is it took care of a lot of the damaged part of the street on that north side. Even though it still needs work, it cleaned that section up, so I think it did a good job to extend those sidewalks. All right, thank you very much for everybody's work on that item, appreciate that. Wayfinding signage is item B on 6.
Good afternoon, again, Rick Solis with Able City. I guess, and I know there's an action item, but we can sort of talk about some of these items right now. We get a request from FSG for additional information regarding the maps, and, you know, like I know we've already looked at this is what was approved, they're working on this, but we never really settled on what the map would be, or for the directional signage, what, you know, so essentially they sent an RFI basically saying we need some additional information. So we wanted to just kind of present some ideas that we're looking at right now to see if we're sort of heading the right direction, or if we need to think about doing something else. But these are the 6 wayfinding monument signs that we have. These are the 6 locations that we've already had approved and reviewed. You know, again, just to kind of go over them, we have the one at City Hall, you know, San Agustin Plaza. This is sort of a orthogonal view of, or an elevation of what that sign would look like. When it comes to the actual signage itself, we have the icons set, but the actual, this area where they're putting the decal essentially, or the lit, this is what's going to be lit up from behind. We're trying to determine what would be best, and so we did a little bit of research and found, you know, this is like an example of a map, you know, for, obviously that's not here, but to give you an idea of creating something that's more graphical in nature, not just like a flat map with you are here, but actually like having some graphics that say, here's City Hall and here's San Agustin. And so we sort of worked on a map like this, and this is just an example, right? But where we could actually take sort of the icons of the different locations and put them on the map. Like, let's say you were at San Agustin Plaza, and you are here, and then we have the little icon, but but then from here you see, oh, there's the Plaza Theater, and we basically highlighted the 6 monument signs were sort of like the main elements, those 6 signs. So we highlighted those 6 areas, City Hall, the Plaza Theater, San Agustin, El Portal, the outlets, St. Peter's, just create little graphics for them. And again, this is just an example of what we're thinking. Obviously, we'd like some feedback. But, so that's sort of I guess the question is this sort of the direction is this okay, or are you guys thinking something else? I guess and if we need to have a committee, or get more people on the board involved, but we wanted to present this today just so that we're not, I don't say holding them up, but we wanted to be able to proceed with some direction to be able to move forward with this.
Is this, Rick, is this vinyl or what kind of?
I think because they're illuminated signs, so I think it's acrylic with, I don't know if the graphic is pasted on the front or the back, but essentially at night.
We
you'll
want to
see
get
this
it
graphic.
right the first time?
Yeah, well,
Or, I mean,
they're interchangeable. I mean, I think it's the kind of thing where you could swap that acrylic out. I don't know what that cost would be, but the majority of the expenses in the obviously the sign itself with the lighting and everything else.
or Justin, Mr. Esparza and Ms. Guerra, any thoughts on, you have a preference?
This is what we sort of had been showing before. That's very orthogonal.
That's what's on one of them,
And
right?
that's-
And it's like super dull.
Yeah, like if you look at the sign, the monuments that are out there right now, it's sort of like this engraved plaque kind of thing, and that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
We were trying to jazz it up a little bit with a
I
little
mean,
bit of color.
I'm all for it. The one thing is, you also agree, so the one thing is the contractor or the vendor did tell me, like, he's on a time frame that the city's put him on, so if we have a delay, we just need to make sure the city is fully on board with additional time if they require, like, if this is gonna take 2 weeks or 3 weeks to land on,
Yeah.
that we actually give the vendor the time, right?
Yes,
Because he can't produce
absolutely.
them.
We can work with engineering on that. So,
Does anybody from staff have any comments? Those of you that have been working with us closely.
If we could just share this, because I know CVB was asking.
Okay.
So I can forward it to CVB, and if they have any
Yeah,
comments.
they're partly paying for this, so
Yeah,
we want their
exactly.
input.
So, yeah, we should.
That's not done.
No,
Well, but
yeah,
it's
no,
just
this
a
is just
takeoff.
an example. This
Yeah.
is sort of like, this is first,
Yeah.
But it's best for them to see it, and if they have any comments,
yes.
they can.
And they may have some other, like I said, like,
If I can suggest that we leave, like, with the vendor, that it get communicated to get to fabrication on everything else, and since this is kind of something they could slide into the fabricated piece, so that he doesn't stop the other work.
okay.
While we get
I'll
to
reach out to
finalize
Andrew
this.
at FSG and discuss that with him.
So, I mean, we'll act on this, on the action item, but, and it sounds like the board's supportive of this
Sort of
concept.
this direction.
Yeah.
Great. The other thing they asked us was the street directional poles, and we had priced out about, I want to say 15 different locations up along Hidalgo and in different areas. Just kind of, this was sort of a draft of all of the things we wanted to make sure we documented on each pole. And this is by pole, right? So there's 1
Yeah.
through 15. I guess we can review this with CVB as well to make sure they're on board with this. But I know that and I need to go back and check because I believe I was looking at it yesterday. The budget that we got from FSG was for like 2 or 3 flags or something, and some of these have more than that. So we're gonna look at that with them to see how we can make sure that we hit all the right things that we need to hit on as far as the directional signage is concerned. But we know that a lot of these are important, at least we felt were important, I don't know if we need to get sort of approval on what's here, or maybe we need to talk with CVB first and then send it back to you guys and say, look, we've already vetted this through CVB. Are you guys okay with it? So that then we can start working with FSG on these the flags of the directional
Right.
signage.
Yes, I would suggest that because I think there was some criteria for the funding that was used from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So that way they can just ensure that it meets their criteria also.
Yeah. And the other thing is, Councilmember Cigarroa mentioned that traffic was working on some
Oh, yeah,
signage, so it would be
she
good to
wanted us
invite them
get
to the
with them
meeting.
as well.
So if we need to
We'll
consolidate ideas that it happens at this meeting.
Well, we can certainly set up a meeting with them and then send that back to the board. As far as the street location signs, this is sort of the look of what we had gotten approval on previously. I show the tops. I need to follow up with them because I'm not sure if the tops were included in their estimate.
I remember that because I was on that call with them. So the more expensive looking ones were not. The simpler one was like Icon D. That was what he had. But in Icon E, if I remember correctly, those are two kind of the same. But once you get to the other mark, he said there would be a markup.
Yeah.
So
we need to review that with them and maybe sit down also with CBB and identify, okay, where do we want to place some of these different options. But again, we just created some images just to kind of, and this is just all using that one little oval as an example. We took the different icons and, like on Hidalgo Street, you would have a post with the little icon as an option. Again, Sandario, Santa Ursula, I guess the question that I'm asking the board is this iconography, I guess, is that's a word. We tried to abstract it a little bit.
if it's durable, the thing is, I already know there's a markup, so the board it'll come back to the board as a change.
So, but they asked us for those, Rick.
Yes, no, I know.
They specifically.
Yes, that is correct, yes.
So maybe he did have it budgeted?
Well, I don't know. He asked for it though.
Yeah, they asked for that,
Yes.
and so it sounds like that,
Is this, if we add this, we would have to do pretty much all of them the same way, right? Or would we
No,
mix it?
I think the idea was that we would pick.
Mix 'em?
Because I think like on some, like if we have one on Water Street, well, there's no picture of water, right? So maybe we do the agave or the star or the butterfly or something, right?
Did we leave the icon on the Iturbide monument?
Yes.
So there's one, okay.
also, I haven't had a chance to talk to them. There is the possibility that those tops can be printed in a durable HD, I forget the name of the plastic that lasts outside, but that would bring the cost down a lot. So they can print those 3D printers. That's a fairly simple thing to do with this. So there is some discussions that we can have with the rest of these.
All right. Well, I mean, if we can take this period between now and February to just bring it
Yeah.
back for,
Yeah, I think.
and I think you can get all the poles fabricated too, and
Yes,
then do the
yeah.
tops, again, it doesn't slow down the production time.
Absolutely. So I think we can get them going. So that's as far as
So this
the.
item, we'll vote on this.
Yes, that's an item. So that's all I have for the wayfinding and the directional signage.
All right, thank you, Rick. The next item is the TASA, the Transportation Alternative Set Aside Program for Salinas. So what I shared with the board right before the meeting in writing was the exhibit. So we just fresh back from TxDOT is their initial draft or initial final draft, because we had kind of gone back and forth. And I have, it came in yesterday, or maybe this morning. It's yesterday and today. It keeps rolling like one day for me. But I did look at the exhibit attachment B, which is what I shared. And we are in a better position with the match this year, based on the commission's, TxDOT Commission order. which essentially have us paying about 19% of the 1.25. So if you look on your right-hand side, the local government participation, the first number you see there is 46,550. That's the reduction of our participation, which would have been altogether 245. And then added to that is the next on the next page. There's 950 that's added there, work by state, and then there's 50,000 direct costs. It's hard to see that total line right above it, but it's a total line for 50,000 that's added, and so the total is 97.5. So that would be the match, and that includes again the 50,000, which is an added number to the match. So we're in good shape. The steps that have to occur for this is, because as you know, it's written so that the city is a sponsor. My goal is to get through my review of the entire document this weekend and then visit with Ms. Martinez and Mr. Chavez to kind of make sure everything's in line. We did visit with the city manager about taking this to city council. It'll first come to us in February and then go to city council. The other side of the second part of this is that there needs to be an agreement between the city and the TIRZ, since they are essentially fronting the cash for this, and then TxDOT is reimbursing us. So we will share with you this document tomorrow. I'll send it to everybody tomorrow, but I wanted you to see the financial breakdown as being part of the most important. So the reason we have a reduced match, if everybody remembers, we're considered an economically disadvantaged county. And the order, I printed the order if anybody wants to look at it, and we're listed on there. We actually, some of the counties that have the highest, were part of most everybody else doesn't reach, 75% or above. So it's unfortunate that we're in that category, but it's fortunate that we get that concession for this project. So that's the ongoing project for Salinas. The second piece of this is an opportunity that's coming up with the state, and you all got a super long guideline handbook that basically is a TxDOT initiative for pushing more of these projects. And we all understand that there's a lot of administrative time requirements, and call them red tape, whatever we want to call them. There's a lot of work that goes into prepping these. And the second piece is there's money that needs to be secured because these are reimbursement programs. So we did have that conversation with the city manager about whether there was an interest to pursue. I also discussed it with the council member, and she is interested in pursuing it. The conversation about TIRZ capacity certainly comes up because we've been kind of filling in to all of us to kind of help with the administrative and the reviews that need to be done on documents. And so the timeline is for this project is out there, and I printed it for us here. So community-based projects under this TxDOT TASA program is, it's not in your packet, or it might be. Yeah, it's in there. It's from 250,000 up to 5 million. There is a workshop coming up. One is online on the 24th, and then there's 2 others in person. I'm going to try to go to the FAR district office one on January 23rd and just get as much information as we can for a group. So the thought process here is extending, which is item 10, we're going to discuss it for action, is there's an initial pre-app, and then there's an actual full-blown application. That pre-app is due in February, and then the full application is due in April. So for this board is to think about whether we want to pursue that and make the official request to the city to support us, and then have the conversation about capacity. Because I was quite clear with Ms. Martinez and Mr. Morales and the city manager is that it's not sustainable to board members to be filling in on the administrative work. I wouldn't advise that for any board. But I mean, we do it because we care for moving public projects, public progress forward, But we should have a conversation about external capacity or internal capacity within our city departments to help us with this. It's fair because it is work. And, like, for instance, there's gonna be a call tomorrow for this toss-up. And those can happen, you know, repeatedly to get a project done, so. I don't know if anybody has questions for me on it. We're gonna talk some more on it, but that's kind of the update there. So, in summary, for the Salinas TxDOT TASA project is to get us to a February board meeting to approve the AFA, Advanced Funding Agreement, and the agreement with the city, and then subsequent to that, take it to city council, and then send it back to TxDOT. Juan Mendive is here with the MPO. I don't know if you have any other insight, Juan, or any comments on your end.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Juan Mendive, MPO Director. I think you covered everything. Amy Casares from TxDOT emailed us about having a meeting tomorrow. I think she probably just wants to relay that, we need to have a draft resolution to them because they need to see that before you can take it to council. And also, there's going to be an affidavit that you need to fill out and sign to get the relief that is being proposed. I'm thinking that's what she wants to talk about tomorrow.
Right. Okay. And you'll be at a training too, right? You'll be attending some training?
I'm going to be attending the 24th of the virtual one that they have. Again, as an MPO, we're not eligible to apply, but we can help, with any entity that's applying. We can provide some technical assistance.
Do you anticipate, you can't answer this, don't answer it, but do you anticipate having a call for projects for another round?
Yes, we'll be having one this year. We're gearing up for that. Probably opening that sometime around April.
So thank you. And so my thoughts for the board is that and I use this phrase, like in my heart, I think we should continue to pursue this sidewalk money. It's doing what we've all wanted to do downtown. But I wouldn't advise it without a capacity, the right capacity in place so that we don't burden the city in a way that they're not prepared or have accepted to take the burden, right? Or compensate the department that takes the ball and takes that responsibility, or else handle it externally with a responsible party that takes care of it. It's not a lot of work, but it is a lot of follow-up, and that takes time. And it's like just remembering what we've done 6 months ago sometimes seems difficult because we're all doing different jobs. So for the board is to help us assess that. And for me, I'm an external board member, so I'll invite any department that wishes to take that on and make the offer to take the the administrative piece of handling this project. If it means we bring down $2-3 million in the next 3-4 years for sidewalks, additional fresh money that's not coming from our local government, it's coming from state and federal funds. So to me, that's a good opportunity. So anything else? Anybody else has thoughts? Okay. If not, we'll jump on to the next item, which is item D, it's street monument sign.
So, again, good afternoon. So we did, working with SSC, who was the contractor that was awarded the project. They submitted their shop drawings, and upon review of the shop drawings, there were a few little details that we wanted to kind of review. This is a view of, this is their drawing or their rendition of what we asked for. Now, just to kind of remind everyone, we sort of came up with a design, but this company was providing everything turnkey: the design, the drawings, the structural, everything. And in doing that, and they've already submitted that, and I have that also here. This is the package that they came up with. They got this sort of a bigger view. Of course, it's rotated the wrong direction, but you can see they've already, giving us details, how they're going to build everything. The plaque with the image of Iturbide with the dates, structural, how they're going to fabricate the beam. So we have all of this information that we're currently reviewing with them. The one item that came up in the course of this conversation with them is, the signage as it is right now is one-sided. So as you're driving on Santa Ursula going south, that's the side that you see with the lights. But if you're walking on Zaragoza or on Grant and you happen to come to Santa Ursula, when you look north, you'll see the tops
Can
lit
you
up.
flip that page?
Yeah, sorry, let me do that, sorry. And so there was some conversations with them about, well, okay, what if we wanted to, get some features on the backside, just so that it didn't look so one-sided.
That was their interpretation,
Yes.
however, that it was a one-sided. Monuments are not one-sided. They sent that back to us like that.
So, so currently what's going on right now is they're working on trying to work with us to get us to add some extra little features to the sign to make it more omnidirectional, I guess. We did look at some different options. Essentially, the red LED strips would be on both sides, so that color would be visible. And we're looking at maybe even this little It Street would be visible from both sides. The Iturbide Street would only be lit from one side, but you could see it during the day. You'll see that it says Iturbide Street backwards, so that wasn't such a big deal. The comment on so this is the digital screen. And right now, that's probably the one thing that we have the most, that we're working through them the most. We originally, and I didn't bring the original, I should have brought the original design, but that was like a full bleed round LED digital sign. And the comment to us was, well, given the time frame and the cost, we opted to do this version. So essentially what it is it's a series of, and I can actually show you here. It's this is the screen, and you see all these little squares? Those are all the little LED panels. So they basically took the squares to make a circle, right? And in doing so, we ended up with this larger diameter element than what we originally had designed. So I'm saying all of this to say that it's not quite what we had in mind. I think it looks a little clunky right now, if I'm being honest. The other comment was, well, okay, because we know we don't want to spend any more on this sign. It's already past our budget, so we don't want to spend any more on this sign than what we already have. We should be getting together with this contractor next week, and they should have some costs that we can kind of meet to discuss on this sign. I did have a conversation with the members of the committee that voted on this, and they all were pretty adamant that the one thing, if we were going to change something on this, would be the LED sign, right? That maybe that could be done through a sponsorship or through the bid or something else that could be added on at a later date. And that for now we would just go with a lit sign that was not digital. Those are just some of the conversations we're having, but I don't have all of the information right now to present to you all. But certainly I just want to give you an update on all of the discussions that we've been having with regards to this sign. So I guess I'll see what the board thinks as far as that's concerned.
Does anybody have thoughts? So what he's saying is there's probably going to be a component that needs to come out to afford an omnidirectional sign.
Yeah, I'd say that digital screen has been such a pain, and even how it is,
Well,
is it large enough to
yeah,
really convey that much information, especially to drivers?
It's 3 feet. It's 36 inches is what I understood.
Actually,
It's 4. If it's 4, then
it's 4 feet, but with the box, because they had to create this box
No,
around it.
they made the box bigger.
It's the out-to-out diameter is 5 feet. So it's a foot bigger than what we have.
But because we do have time, I mean, they could come in and install this later. That round one could be ordered and,
Yeah, the one thing is that that is a third party, as I remember the meeting, they said that's a third party vendor for them, so
Yes.
if they've already obligated that, it's not coming out of the contract.
Well, well, look, that's true. I guess that's something we need to consider, because that was an alternate that was accepted as part of so that's something we need to discuss with them. So, yes, that is correct, what you're saying.
Yeah. So I really, and with the sign, because it went to the public and there was a lot of participation from the public, I think we ought to stick to as closely as possible. The other thing I want to make sure the board's aware, so we don't have the electrical panel in the current budget, correct?
That is
And
correct. That was.
so that needs to be added. And then if you can go back to the illustration just so the board knows. So that's going to be a change that's going to come back to us unless we take something out. On the concrete, and you can see it has I guess I'm going to call it the pedestal.
Yeah, all of that
And then a
concrete.
base. We've been, at least I've been wanting to make sure that that's finished. It's called for a smooth finish, but there's different ways of arriving at that. So what I've asked Eliud with the engineering department and Rick is to look at a self-consolidating concrete, which is what's used for architectural type work. So it's probably not going to be a big jump in cost, but just to make sure we don't miss that, we don't want to come back and float a texture, on it. It needs to be, so we've been sharing examples. Bridge number 2, when you come out of the pedestrian, there's these nice benches. I think we can even get better than what's on that,
I agree.
on that surface. So there may be a little bit of a cost to get that mixed design on the concrete. That's going to give us a really nice finish on that concrete piece for the monument. Do you all have any sort of, I know this is probably a new sign for you, but we put this out for the public on Main Street, and they voted on, and there was a large team that put pieces.
So just for your reference, we had like 4 different options, and we put it out to the public, and what ended up happening is the
All of them
option
got
that
in there.
we all, like bits and pieces of everything made it in here, and so that's the sign, it's a sign, and I think it did receive very positive.
I mean, to me, the sphere, if the vendor can quantify that sphere, I don't feel strongly about most of it. I'm worried about taking out the digital piece because somebody out there brought that to us.
Yes.
And we all agreed that it was an important piece, but the sphere came really late. I remember that. And that's an architectural piece that maybe it's worth a significant amount of equity on the project that can be backed out. That's, again, I would like for the full board to kind of just agree on what could be taken out.
Well, I guess what I'd like to just present is that we're getting all of the facts and figures for you guys, so that then you all will have that information to be able to make that decision to say, okay, let's move forward with this.
And same thing for the city that's working with this vendor is, as we lose, or he loses time with this design submittal review, that we don't take it out on them and give them the extra time we took, give it to them on their contract, because it's only fair. I mean, that would be our ask.
There was another request that we received today or yesterday with regards to a geotech report for the foundation for this sign. You know that we already had one, the TIRZ board had already approved a vendor as part of the previous phase, well, really it's part of this phase, the Zaragoza phase 1.
Okay.
We may need to have them, it would be one bore only for this.
Right. The last thing that I gave Rick in terms of my notes on the Agustin de Iturbide, and then the years on the sign, they look like different sizes, but on the scale they're presented as 2 inches. So he's going to work through that to make sure they're actually to the scale that that they're supposed to be, because otherwise they would look at the same. So we talked about increasing the Agustin name and then keeping the other ones as 2-inch.
Yes.
Or whatever, just proportionate, because right now there's
Yeah,
a
they're calling
difference,
out,
but
they're calling out for 2 inches on
Yes,
both.
but they're
Over
not.
here, it's 1.5 inches and 2 inches, so we just need
Right.
to work that through.
Yeah. Okay, any other thoughts on this one, on this item? All right, thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Murals program, so, and I was reminded that there's another meeting here at 5:30, so we need to wrap up in about 40 minutes at 5:15, so I'm gonna move a little faster through the last few items so we can get to the action. Murals program, I see Ms. Burnett in the audience, would you like to update the board?
Good afternoon, Amanda Pruneda for the record. Regarding the mural program, the mural proposal, we currently have one pending agreement, which is for the property that's located on Iturbide Street. And we prepared the document, we sent it to the property owner's attorney, which he sent it back with concerns and wanted clarifications on certain sections of the agreement. We sent it back to legal for revision, and another document or another agreement was prepared as a mural easement agreement. And at this point, we have it under review by the chairman for
Right.
that property.
So, and I provided some insight to Mr. Morales over my thoughts. I really think we should go back to it being a display agreement, display and use agreement, not an easement, because I think it's just gonna set folks back. I don't think the property owner is gonna agree, so I don't think we finished that conversation, but that would be my recommendation there.
That's fine, I'll keep the same document, just restructure and take
Yeah.
out the easement part, we should be okay, I'll have it out by tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. And then it can be released to the property owner. Hopefully we can get that.
Right, and then once that is approved, then I'll send it to the artist, which he's already eager to work on the mural.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, it's gonna, one other step is for us to walk with the artist, and you can invite me, or any other board member that wants to join, and yourself, and just physically see the site and agree from where to where, so that everybody, is fully accepting of that. We don't wanna end up with like 8 feet, and we thought it was gonna be 30 feet.
Yeah.
So, and that should be an exhibit. I think you had it as an exhibit, right?
Yes, we do have it attached as an exhibit on
Okay.
the agreement.
Just so that we can do it visually there.
We will do that. When I send out the agreement, we can schedule a walkthrough on the property as well.
And I saw that there's like 2 pipes coming down. I don't know if they're sprinkler or what they are, fire sprinkler lines or not, but they're actually on the facade of that property, so want to make sure.
We can look at that as well.
Yeah.
We can walk through.
Any questions on this one? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work, appreciate that.
Thank you.
No additional updates on the project plan and financing plan. I covered that last meeting. Webb County participation on TIRZ number 1, that was one of the items that I visited with the city manager, Ms. Martinez and Mr. Morales about. So we talked about and as you remember, the county requested 3 members be added to the TIRZ board in order for them to participate. And at the proposed level, which is 100% of the escrow. So what we're gonna do is take some direction from city council at the next opportunity, which will be in February. And based on that direction, we will go and start negotiating with the county. So we already know what the county is expecting. They took action and they described them to Justin, Councilmember Cigarro and I, what they're expecting. But we want to make sure that city council is on board. So we will do that in February, and then after that, we'll officially go back with an instrument and then talk about what sticks in terms of our commitments on both sides.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I did already review the instrument, for the most part, I have no issues with it, we just are pending those details once we meet with council.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. You all already heard enough about the administrative capacity. I'll reserve the rest for when the full board is present so we can talk about that. We did talk about that with the city manager. I already mentioned that earlier, so. Those are the discussion items. Moving on to action items. Item 7, discussion and possible action to authorize the city engineer as TIRZ number 1 project director to negotiate a time-only, no-cost extension number 2 through February 10th, which is 1 day before our next board meeting, with ALC Construction for closeout and punch list work item purposes under of FY24 2022-ENG-67, TIRZ number 1, Zaragoza Street Improvements Project. The board may discuss and take action on any items directly related to construction and administrative closeout. So y'all heard pretty much in detail. There's some materials that are pending to come in. The site is substantially completed. There are some, I guess, punch list items that are going to be addressed, and then eventually we'll get to closeout. So I would move that we approve. We do have a written letter from the contractor that's been submitted for this official request, although it's also kind of our request, so we can get the punch list done, taken care of. I'll move to approve this extension through February 10th on this item.
Second.
It's been seconded by Mr. Heather. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? None. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 8 is discussion and possible action to approve the final monument graphics for the wayfinding and the directional signage. My understanding, unless the board feels differently, is that this item's coming back in February after committee work with, to include Convention of Visitors Bureau. So I don't, unless anybody else has action. Okay. Item 9, no action on item 8. Item 9 is discussion and possible action to review and approve final shop drawings from SSC Signs in lighting and installation requirements for its street monument sign. The board may discuss and take action on items directly related to design, fabrication, and installation of this project. So this item will have to come back at the next meeting. The only thing that I would like to just put on record is the fact that we will be asking the contractor to use self-consolidating concrete to give us the finish on the concrete, and to the best of their willingness and ability to share their costs. So if we need to take something out to value engineer the sign, that be done with the team and come back to the board in February. I will make that in the form of a motion. So to add that, actually, there's one more, the electrical panel. To add the electrical panel to this agreement, to the agreement with this contractor, either in the form of a change or a value engineered item, and to add the self-consolidating concrete, and to bring back a proposal on any updates on design in February. Is there a second? Second. Second. It's been seconded by Mr. Esparza. I had to look. I keep thinking of Mr. Mate who sits there. Seconded by Mr. Esparza. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? None. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 10 is discussion and possible action related to TxDOT Transportation Alternative Set-Aside Program call for projects and funding opportunity, and the board consideration for pursuing said funding for future projects. The board may discuss program timelines, administrative and funding requirements. So I covered in somewhat in detail what I think is the interest. The board, at this point, to me, it would seem in order for us to continue pursuing the opportunity without really going into a full-blown application. So doing the pre-app, and between the pre-app and the final, decide whether there is the commitment and the capacity to do it. Mm-hmm. Do you, board members, do you all agree? Yes. In general, I'm seeing a nodding, so I will make the motion to that effect, that we pursue with the pre-app, that anybody, and I'll be attending the training, but I'll invite anybody from the city through community development, engineering, economic development, all of you that are interested in supporting the TIRZ, that attend the training either by way of workshop or in person, to do so. But I would make the motion to that effect, is to pursue a pre-app and then decide on a full app at either the February meeting or March meeting. Is there a second? Has it been a second by Mr. Heather? Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. 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 Any against? None. Motion passes. Item 11 is discussion and possible action to approve invoices submitted by Able City and KCI as presented. So, Rick, was there a revision sent in?
No, actually, I'd like to maybe
Discuss
request a meeting with you guys to sort of go over that invoice. We have our hours, and we can account for them. I guess we're being asked to move them to general admin time, but a lot of this time is associated with, you know, the projects themselves. And so, we just want to have a conversation regarding that.
Okay,
for
so
now,
you want us to not
yeah,
act on it here?
Don't act on it here.
Okay,
and then
all right.
we can have a
So
conversation.
we're only, we would, thank you, Rick, we would only act on KCI's invoice.
I move to approve the KCI invoice as presented.
Motion to approve as presented, is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Esparza. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Motion passes. Thank you. Ms. Gamboa, how fast we did it after you reminded us about the room being used. A motion to adjourn at 4:35.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heather. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We're adjourned at 4:35.